This video is sponsored by KNF Concept. They provided me with a trial set of circular magnetic filters for this video, but I was brutally honest with them. You come first. If I can't recommend this product, then I won't. Either way, KentFaith left some special links for you in the description.
I've been looking for some time now at circular magnetic filter systems online. I've been watching other people's YouTube channels and I've been really quite impressed on how good and easy these systems appear to be to use. So it's something that I've had in the back of mind, but I've had another nagging problem. And the other nagging problem I've had is that, well, actually the filter system I've got has been working exceptionally well for over 30 years now. It gives me great results. I enjoy using it. It works well. So the question is why would I really want to change? And it was hard to justify doing that and parting with some money. So when KentFaith, more commonly known as KNF Concept, reached out to me and suggested that I would like to try out one of their circular filter kits, I was kind of intrigued because actually it solved one of the issues that I've got. Now, answer the question of, is it really worth me parting with cash and investing in a new system? And I know that's not obviously possible for everybody, but I thought the best thing for me to do if I was going to do a video for them was to answer that question, to look at, if you've got an existing system, why would you part with more money and change to another one? Well, that's what I'm going to try and answer for you in this video. So before I show you exactly what KentFaith have sent me, I want to try and put it into some context of what is wrong with the old system that I've got. If I'm so pleased with it, why would I even contemplate changing? Well, one of the problems with the slot filter system that I've got is the amount of space that it takes up in my camera bag. Over the last few years, I've moved away from heavy tripods to lighter carbon fibre tripods. I've tried to get a good carrying system and I've tried to reduce the amount of gear that I'm carrying. And my filter system, although works well, isn't really practical in the way that it sits inside the camera bag. I need different holders, different adapters, and the filters themselves are actually quite large. And I've always known that the magnetic filter system is much more compact and could solve some of those problems for me. So what actually is it that KNF Concept have sent me? Well, they've sent me their Nano X series filter system. It's a 82mm adapter ring, a neutral density graduated ND8 filter, an ND8, ND64 and ND1000. It's packaged really well. It's, you know, the filters have a multi-layer coating, waterproof, anti-scratch resistance, and everything looks really nicely packaged. And what I also like about this system is that it actually comes inside its own small pouch. Now, when you compare this to the size of the system that I'm currently using, you can see why I would want to change and try and get a lighter system. But the proof is going to be out there and whether the system works. So in this video, we're going to actually look at how this works out in practice and whether or not it's actually going to do the job that I want it to do. Inside this pouch, everything is fitted inside with their own little individual pockets. Every filter is individually wrapped at the moment. We'll soon lose that when we're out in the field. But it really does look like it's going to do the job for me. It zips up really nice and tightly. There's a good flap over the top of it to keep everything nice and clean. And there is a belt hook at the back if you want to use that, and a D-ring on the top if you want to attach it to a strap or anything. So we can get that put away in the bag and pack the rest of the system away, and then go out and take some photographs and see if this really meets the requirements that I need it to meet. So like I said, KNF reached out to me and solved one of the issues for me, that of cost, but not entirely, because one of the problems that I've always had with changing a filter system, I don't want to carry two systems in my bag at the same time. And my current system covers my full range of lenses. It covers everything from a 15-stop neutral density right the way down to a 3-stop plus circular polarizers and graduated filters. So KentFaith approached me and suggested a system to me, which was their neutral density kit that I mentioned back in the van. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough an incentive for me to actually change. I explained to them that if I'm going to do a review on your system, if I'm going to present that to my audience and give them an honest opinion of what it is, it has to be pretty much from the basis of how it works out in the field. And that's why I've come out here today to do it. And we've just come up against a roadblock. Sorry about that, we've had lots of rain recently and it's absolutely thundering down through the valley and there's trees down and all sorts. Anyway, where was I? So yeah, KentFaith or K&F Concept reached out to me and offered me part of a system effectively. And that was the issue that I had. I still would have to find a lot of money to make it into a full system. So I spoke to K&F and they also sent me a circular polarising filter as well. But I did buy some more adapter rings so I can use the system properly, because there's no point in me having two different systems, as I just explained. And remember, that question I really want to answer is, K&F, do you deserve to take more money off me and change the rest of my system over to yours? Let's go and see if we can answer that question. So I think I've found a photograph that I want to take, and I've been setting up the camera. Now, in the normal way that I work handheld first and line everything up so I can understand what I'm doing. Normally when I work handheld with my old system, I don't bother putting the filters on because, to be honest, it needs to be on the tripod. And for the majority of the time I'll be using the K&F filters on the tripod. But I just wanted to see how practical it was. And I've got to say, I was really quite impressed. So first of all, let's talk about when I opened up the pack. So I opened up the pack that we've got, opened up this case. And yes, okay, the filters were in their plastic wrapping, so I've taken one out. And the overall build quality of the filter and the feel of it was really quite good. It's very light, it's very small. Now it needs to be small, it needs to be thin, or else when it's on the lens and you stack them, you'll get vignetting. But in gloves and other things, I might find that to be a little bit of a hindrance maybe, but we'll just have to see how that works out over time. But in general, it was really good. So I've set the camera up on the tripod, but let me just show you how this system works before I take an image and take a photograph with it. The system comes with different diameter filter threads. Now I've gone for an 82mm set. This is actually a 77mm lens. The reason I've gone for the slightly wider set is that I need this to cover a range of lenses and not just one. I want it to be a little bit future-proof as well, so if I get bigger lenses, then I can use it. The disadvantage with this system, should I go out and get a lens with maybe like a 95mm filter or something, my filters won't work. So you need to bear that in mind. It'll work for the lenses that you've got now. Will it work for the lenses that you've got in the future? So generally, like I say, these are quite well made. They've got a nice narrowed edge on them. The printing's nice and clear. They're really lightweight. And I can't see them causing me any problems whatsoever. The idea was that I would just screw it onto the front of my lens, which I have. And they also come with magnetic lens caps as well, because what I wanted to do was make this simple and easy to use. So if I suddenly have to go away now and change lens caps and lens hoods when I go to put the camera away, that bit of annoyance is still there. So by using this, I could just leave that on the lens and then it's protected and put it back in the camera bag for later on. And that's how I really wanted it to use it and work this system. So we can take that off and then that fits nicely in my pocket. Filters are nice and close to me for when I want to use them, and I can compose my image. So let's get the image composed and then we'll put some filters on and see how they actually work when they're on the lenses. So there we go, that's my first photograph ever taken with a K&F Concept circular magnetic filter. And it's quite funny actually, because if you remember at the beginning when I mentioned the discussions I had with K&F Concept about requiring a circular polarizer as well, it turns out that that's the first filter that I've used. So I'm really pleased that they came along and they could understand as a company the needs of photographers and fully got why I needed to have that in my set of filters, or I just wouldn't be able to do this. I am going to try one of their neutral density filters in a minute with the circular polarizer, but I wanted to talk about that circular polarizer because one of the concerns I had is that the old slot filter system is so big and bulky that you've got a lot to grip onto and move around. It made it nice and easy to adjust, and I was concerned that actually I would find it difficult with the thin filter housings and lenses to do that. But actually it worked reasonably well. It did work okay. It would be nice to have some kind of tab or something on it so you could hold it and maybe grip it and move it a bit easier, but it wasn't too bad. It did work well. It's not the best conditions for using a polarizing filter, but I did adjust it, and I'll put some viewfinder video up, and you can see that as I rotate that filter, it does slightly change the look and feel of the water. For those of you that may not know and are looking at filters for the first time, a polarizer not only deepens colours, it also takes reflections off the surfaces, and that's why it's critical for me to have that filter, because I shoot water so much and water is reflective and I like to control those reflections. So I'll put that photograph up on the screen for you now, and I'm going to get a neutral density filter out and try that as well, and I'll talk a bit more about how I found using this system. Well, I've got to say that was really nice and easy to use, and I really enjoyed that. I've just swapped out, I've just taken out the ND8 filter and fitted that to the stack that I've got there as well. And it's worked really, really well. I've produced a really sort of nice image. It gave me about a 2-second exposure, 2-second shutter speed, which has given this water a really lovely, strong, blurred effect to it. And that's what I use my neutral density filters for a lot. And of course as well for just generally cutting down light on a really, really bright day. But it's about being able to control those shutter speeds. And it was really quite a revelation. I'd say almost kind of like it was a revelation how easy it was to take this out of my pocket, snap the filter on and replace it. Normally I'm fiddling about with pushing things into slot filters. I'm going backwards and forwards to the camera bag and dealing with some quite bulky and difficult to use equipment. So I really kind of enjoyed using that. So that was really, really good. There was one other concern that I had with swapping over to this round system, is that I'm really used to leaving a UV filter on my lens all the time. And I only do it for one reason, and that's simply to protect the system from any potential damage. And something I've noticed that when I've got these 3 filters stacked on here, I have got some vignetting at 24mm, and that's going to be a little bit of an issue for me. So I'm just going to take off that UV filter and put the stack back on and just see how that works out. But it's actually quite difficult to see, looking through the back of the camera and the eyepiece as well, whether or not taking that UV filter off has actually helped. I think it has. I can't really see any signs of vignetting in there, but I've just taken a photograph at the wide 24mm, and we can inspect that when we get home on the computer screen and see if I find anything. And I'll put those results up for you and tell you about it. What I have noticed though is that now I've got the sky in the image, it's actually really overexposed. So what I'm going to try and do is try using that neutral density filter, the graduated one, which I said I would probably never use, but it'll be quite interesting to see if that works, because then I'll have 3 filters stacked on the lens as well, and we'll see if we've got vignetting with 3 filters stacked without the UV filter.
The results of the field test were hard to interpret, so I carried out an experiment, shot at 24mm on a full frame camera. With 1 filter fitted, there are no issues. 2 filters resulted in slight vignetting, but this is easily managed in post-processing. Unfortunately, on full frame at 24mm with 3 filters fitted, the vignetting was significant. But that's not the end of the story. Stay around for my verdict.
Before I give a verdict on this system, I just want to say that I've actually really enjoyed using it. And I think it has addressed the issues that I wanted it to address with my old system in ease of use and just general usability out in the field. The weather conditions are lovely today, but you can imagine if it's out pouring down with rain that there'll definitely be situations where being able to change and swap out filters really quickly is a huge benefit. So I just need to pack the system away now, and I think this is going to be a bit of a revelation as well, because it's going to be very, very quick and easy to pack up. I'm going to do another video on this. There's also the element of optical performance and whether or not the quality of the glass they're using, the lens coatings which they claim to be using, whether they actually perform as well as they say, and whether that's going to actually meet my requirements as a professional landscape photographer. So that's going to come up in a video very soon. So I suggest that what you do right now is you subscribe to my channel, hit the bell icon, and when that video is out, you'll get your notification.
I wanted to address the issue of my current system taking up too much space in my camera bag. I wanted a system easy and quick to use on real-world landscape photography shoots, in bad and difficult positions. On these points, the K&F circular magnetic filter system surpasses my needs. 95% of the time, the vignetting will not cause you an issue. Get the extra 5%, you can spend twice as much and carry twice as much kit. If you're looking for a quality filter system at a great price, then use the affiliate link in the description and check out with the code Brian for 10% off. If you're thinking about changing your existing system, then just think about the slight vignetting first. It may not affect you. I will be testing the optical performance of these filters very soon.